Oh, hello everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Stats. I'm Isaac, your host, and as you can see, I'm not wearing a Chiefs jersey today for the first time. I'm wearing a different jersey because I got a Barry Sanders jersey. It's pretty cool. Good old Sanders, yeah, number 20. My favorite Lions player, my second favorite player in league history behind only Mahomes, so pretty cool. I've also gotten some other jerseys. I'll wear those in future videos, but today we're going to do the kind of weekly sort of deals, like the power rankings, the predictions, and then the game reviews of last week's games. I'm sorry that I'm doing this on Saturday so late. The next one of these will be on Tuesday, so the game rankings and stuff won't be pushed back that far again, and same with the power rankings. The predictions will probably still be on Saturdays, as well as the other bit that I do if I do another bit. So I'm trying to think. Should I start with the game rankings or the power rankings? I think I'm going to start with the power rankings, and then we'll do the game rankings, and then I'll do the predictions. So the bottom two teams have not changed. It's still New Orleans and Cleveland. There's not much there for them. New Orleans has gotten kind of closer than Cleveland has, but I also feel like Cleveland's played some harder teams, or at least they did last week. Next, we have Tennessee dropping 3 spots after a lackluster performance against the Rams. Cam Ward looks okay, but everything else, not great. So, had to be dropped. Another team that does not look great is the Dolphins. And this is recorded after Thursday, but I'm only taking into account the previous games. So this is going into week 3. Before their Thursday game, they'd be 29th. I think they might move up a spot over number 28 Carolina, because they held their own against the Bills. They only lost by 10, better than the Jets did. So maybe they should be above number 27, the Jets as well, who fell 2 spots from last week. Carolina moved up a spot, but either way, none of those teams are too great. A team that went down 4 spots after moving up 5 last week is the Raiders. Did not look good against the Chargers, didn't score a single touchdown. And then 25, actually moving up 5 spots after a loss, we have the Giants. Scoring 37 points in a loss is quite rare, but it happened to the Giants, and Russell Wilson had the most pass yards of his whole career, which is ridiculous. Next, we have New England, who went up 2 spots after a close win against the Dolphins. Dolphins only fell a little bit because of that, but New England also only rose a little bit. Next is 23 Jacksonville, who had a winnable game, I will say. They were my upset pick for last week, but they did not do it. And they definitely did have a winnable game, especially after Burrow got out, but the defense didn't do well, and they let Cincinnati get a last-minute drive in. Number 22, I have Cincinnati, moving down 7 spots because, let's be honest, without Burrow, they're not going to do great. So I had to put them above Jacksonville because they won, but they only won barely. Next, we have Minnesota, who went down 9 spots after one of the worst performances I've seen. Probably the worst performance I've seen by a team, other than maybe Dolphins week 1. Their offense looked anemic, and now good old, what's-his-face, J.J. McCarthy is going to be out. So, I don't know. It's going to be a rough one. Number 20, I have Chicago going down 4 spots after kind of getting blown out by my Lions. Lions seem to be back to what they kind of were on offense, or Chicago's defense just isn't great. Could be that. Number 19, we have Houston moving down 2 spots. They're 0-2. I don't have as much faith in them as I do in some of the other teams that haven't been performing as well. I think CJ Stroud isn't showing up as much. Maybe that's just because of their O-line, but I don't know. Number 18, moving up just 1 spot, we have Arizona. Keeping it close were the Carolina Panthers against them, but Arizona was still able to pick up the win. It's good for them. I don't know. They might be 2-0, actually. I don't remember who they faced last week. I don't think they would be 2-0. I don't remember. Whatever. Anyway, number 17, moving down 3 spots, is the Steelers. Had an impressive performance in week 1, but in week 2, they just didn't look as great against the Seahawks. They put up a decent fight, but the Seahawks just kind of pulled away with it. They still look like a decent team, but I don't think they're quite top half after that performance. Number 16, we have Denver, who now I might be getting a little bit concerned because they let Daniel Jones dice up their defense, of all people. And to be honest, they probably could have won. They definitely could have won that game if they hadn't committed that one penalty that sealed it for the Colts. Number 15 and number 14 both moved up 9 spots from last week. That's Dallas and Indianapolis, respectively. I had to put Indianapolis above the Denver Broncos, even though I don't think Indianapolis is better. Daniel Jones, I just have no faith in him, even after his Danny Dimes looking start to the season. He's gonna fall back down to earth. He always does. He's not a good quarterback. I don't have any real faith in him to be able to lead the Colts pretty much anywhere. And then Dallas, I actually do have faith in Dallas after putting up 40. I guess it was the Giants' defense, so it wasn't the most impressive thing. But I don't know how many times Dak got sacked, but he was able to throw the ball around a decent amount. So, and also Brandon Aubrey is insane. In the fantasy draft that I did, my friend drafted Brandon Aubrey in round 13, and we were all making fun of him. But now he beat me because Brandon Aubrey scored 1 million points. It's ridiculous. Number 13, we have Washington moving down 7 spots. They did not look good against the Packers. I think, honestly, a lot of people are saying, the Packers look like one of the best teams in the league. And while that is true, I think it's more so Washington doesn't look great. And, I probably could have called it, honestly. Washington did make the NFC Championship, but I think it was a fluke. I think they should not have gotten that far, honestly. And they did, so good for them, but I don't think they're getting that far this year. I think they're a first-round exit in the playoffs this year, maybe a wild card team. And especially since Jaden Daniels is now injured, they're going to move down a lot. Number 12, putting up an impressive defensive performance last week, is Atlanta, shutting out the Vikings offense that was so prolific and shutting down Jefferson pretty much as well, except for that one catch he had at the end of the first half. But Atlanta with a dominant win. Not many touchdowns, though. They only scored a touchdown at the very end, which made for a not very great game to watch. But of course, I had to watch the whole thing because my parents were watching because Vikings fans. Number 11, not moving from last week, we have San Francisco. They didn't look great against the Saints, but they won, so not going to move them down. Number 10, moving into the top 10 after a very impressive performance, moving up 11 spots, I have Seattle. Darnold looks okay. Darnold looks decent. I don't think he's going to do as good this season as he did last year, mostly because of the coaching change. I don't think Mike McDonald is quite as good of a quarterback or as a coach as Kevin O'Connell, but we'll see what they're able to do. They got some decent receivers. They got a decent running back room as well. I think with the performance that they put up against a solid Steelers defense, they're top 10. And then number 9 is my Kansas City Chiefs. Only moving down 2 spots because, let's be honest, I predicted them to lose to the Eagles. I predicted them to fall down here. I don't know why people are freaking out the fact that they lost to the best team in the league. And they very well could have won if 36-year-old Kelsey could have held on to the pass, but he didn't. You make mistakes, you lose football games, and that's what the Chiefs are having to deal with now. Definitely the best 0-2 team, though. Their defense looked way better than it did the previous week, although the pass rush is still kind of a concern. Worthy has been ruled out against the Giants, unfortunately, so no Worthy jersey quite yet, but that jersey will be back when he's playing next. I honestly think it's for the best. I don't think the Giants should be a team that we should lose to, so let him rest and recover and have him good to go against the Ravens. I think Jalen Royals is going to suit up, though, hopefully, against the Giants, so hopefully that could be a good one. Number 8, I have Tampa Bay. They have not moved from last week. They barely beat Houston on a last-second sort of deal from Baker. Looked decent for most of the game. Only a 1-point victory, though, so I'm not going to move them up too much. I mean, Houston is a good team. They got a good defense, so admirable, but worthy of a top 8 spot, but I don't think I want to move them higher, especially since the number 17, the Rams, looked a lot better than last week, especially offensively. They were able to score 33 points, I think, and that's going to make me move them 2 spots up, and I think they will be a solid team for next week for sure. Number 6, I have moving down 1 spot, the Chargers. It's not that they did bad, they kind of just got pushed out by the number 5 team, but Chargers had an okay performance against the Raiders. They didn't look insane. Herbert had another good game, and so did Quentin Johnston. Like, the 50-yard pass was quite interesting. And number 4, we have... Number 5, we have the Lions. They're back to their offensive form. I think their offense is going to be fine. They still have the key players. They might not have as many weird trick plays or as much interesting shenanigans, but they still find a way to score points, and I still think they're a top 5 team. At least they proved that last week. Number 4, I have Green Bay. They've had 2 wins now against 2 top half teams. I'm not going to move them up because I still think the Ravens have looked super impressive. Like, the Ravens haven't yet scored less than 40 points. So Ravens are going to stay at number 3 for now. Green Bay could very well swap depending on their performances next week, especially since the Ravens are playing Detroit. That'll be a definite game to watch for sure. And then number 2 and number 1 have not changed. It's still Buffalo and the Eagles. Still looking dominant. Eagles are going to be number 1 until they lose, even though I think overall Buffalo's had more impressive performances. But either way, Eagles are defending champions. They'll stay at number 1. Next, we have the games of the week ranked. And I think we can start it off pretty convincingly with the worst game of the week, Atlanta versus Minnesota. This game sucked, bro. There was no touchdowns. There was no nothing. The most exciting moment of the game was Jefferson's 50-yard catch at the end of the first half. Nothing else was interesting about the game. There was, I think, 7 field goals before the first touchdown, and even then there was just 1 touchdown in garbage time when the Falcons were already pretty much guaranteed to win because the Vikings were doing nothing on offense. Awful game. Number 15, we have a blowout, Buffalo and the Jets. Not much interesting about that one. I think pretty much what we expected, at least going into the season out of like Justin Fields and everything. But yeah, not a great performance for the Jets. Buffalo looked as good as ever. And yeah. Number 14, I've got the Thursday night game, Washington and Green Bay. The score is closer than you would think for a game this low, but most of Washington's scoring came in garbage time when they were already out of it. So Green Bay had this one wrapped up pretty easily, and Washington didn't do great. Losing Daniels is also a big hit. Number 13, I have one of the more entertaining, not close games, that being Rams and Titans. I didn't really watch much of this game, watched a little bit of the highlights or whatever, but nothing really stood out to me. I might be missing something, but I don't think this game was great. Number 12, we have Chargers and Raiders. This is another one where one team just kind of didn't show up on offense. The 150-yard play was really cool, but other than that, not much. Number 11, we have another blowout, Cleveland and Baltimore. But this one was a more entertaining blowout. Again, Ravens doing Raven things. That's pretty much all the reason why they're above there, because Ravens have a fun-to-watch offense. Number 10, we have San Francisco, New Orleans. Closer game than one would think, but still not really that much of interest. Number 9 is Chicago and Detroit. Another deal with the fun-to-watch offenses of the Lions kind of dicing up the Chicago Bears. It's always nice to see a 50-burger, especially when it's a team you like. But yeah, that's number 9. And then in the top half of games, we first have Carolina, Arizona. 1-score game, but not much to write home about in the grand scheme of things. Number 7 is New England, Miami. Pretty close game. Based on what we saw in week 1, I didn't think it would be that close. I thought New England would beat them by a lot more. But Miami was able to actually get their offense to score a decent amount of points. But regardless, it wasn't too close. So I have to put it at number 7. Number 6, we've got Seattle and Pittsburgh. It was a 2-score game, but both teams put in a good effort. and I think did decently. So, yeah. I mean, not a super great, amazing game, but not a bad one either. Number 5, I think, I don't know, not the first one-score game, but another one-score game, Philadelphia and Kansas City. Winnable game by Kansas City, but Philadelphia was able to get through it at the end. The offense of the Chiefs it needs to be better, bro. Please, be able to run the ball with someone not named Mahomes. He cannot. Right now, Mahomes is on pace to have 1,000 rushing yards. Bro, we need a better running back. Whatever. It was a close game, though. It was good, especially for neutral watchers, which I don't think there's a lot of neutral watchers of that game. There's a lot of hate watchers because 2 of the most hated teams in the league. Number 4, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. Close game that ended on a final drive. This is where you get into sort of the upper echelon of what I would say are good games. Then number 3 is the 1-point game, Houston, Tampa Bay. A lot of weird stuff happened in this game, but ultimately Tampa Bay was able to win it. Solid game, all things considered. Top 2 are pretty far above the rest, but number 2 is Denver, Indianapolis. Another close, I think it was a 1-point game, definitely won by a field goal at the end. Great ending, super funny to watch the Broncos lose. And yeah, good for the Colts. They're 2-0 with Daniel Jones as their quarterback. That ain't gonna last. And then number 1, the overtime thriller between the Giants and the Cowboys. Who would have guessed that that's the game of the week? But Brandon Aubrey with his 64-yard, that was the highlight for me. I love seeing long field goals, but Russell Wilson, amazing offensive game. Just hope he doesn't do that against my Chiefs this Sunday. So, yeah. That's your games. That's your games ranked. And New York and Dallas will go into the end of season ranking all the best games in every week. So, yeah. And finally, we are going to predict the remaining 15 games for next week. So, we will start with Cincinnati, Minnesota. This is a weird one because they are both missing their starting QBs. However, Cincinnati's loss is going to be a lot bigger than Minnesota's because they're missing Joe Burrow. Minnesota's just missing J.J. McCarthy. Both of the defenses are a little banged up, or at least Minnesota's defense is banged up. Cincinnati's defense isn't really there to begin with. This is going to be a close one. They're right next to each other in my power rankings, but I'm going to take Cincinnati because I think they have the momentum. Jake Browning's a decent quarterback. Carson Wentz, based on what he did in Kansas City last year in his one start, they're not going to do great. I think Cincinnati takes this one. Houston, Jacksonville. This is one that both teams kind of need if they want to get a good foothold in the division against Indianapolis. I'm going to take Houston here because I think they're going to be motivated to get a win here. And even with Jacksonville's offense that I think is kind of underrated, Houston's defense is very good, and I think they'll be able to stop them. So I'll take it Houston there. Indianapolis, Tennessee. Indianapolis does have momentum. This is a division rival, and this could be a close game. I think I will take Indianapolis to go 3-0, funnily enough, because I don't think Tennessee is as great of a team as one might think. I don't think they improved too much over the offseason. Depends if good old Cam Ward can ball out and do really good, then they might win. But other than that, I think the neutral option, the most likely option, is that he doesn't and that Indianapolis wins. Next, Las Vegas, Washington. This is a weird one because they're both missing Washington's missing their Jaden Daniels and now their top running back as well. So they'll be forced to lean on the pass game. And Las Vegas's pass defense isn't great. They have Jack Jones, but I don't really know. I can't really name any of their other defensive back standouts. This could be one that the Raiders could win, but I'm going to go with Washington. I think they'll be able to hold the defense right now. I don't think Geno Smith has the momentum that he needs in order to win this one, so I'm going to take Washington in a close one. The Rams and the Eagles, this is going to be an interesting one again. I will take the Eagles because they are still the defending champions, but the Rams gave them a run for their money in the playoffs. They were the closest to beating them. So I think this is my pick for game of the week. I'd like to see it go the other way around. That'd be real nice. Like the Rams, they're cool, and the Eagles kind of beat us or whatever. Like, honestly, as I said in my last video, I don't hate the Eagles a lot, but like, it'd be nice to see them lose, you know. Next, Atlanta, Carolina. This one I think is pretty easily going to be Atlanta. They got momentum now. They're moving up the rankings. I think they're going to be Carolina here. And with that win, they could even like get themselves in a position for a wild card spot in a bit. I think Atlanta, Washington, Seattle, San Francisco are going to be 4 teams to watch. And I think Detroit's getting one. I think Green Bay or Detroit, one of those will be the 5 seed in the NFC. And then, Atlanta, Seattle, San Francisco, or Washington will be 2 of those will be the others. Unless I'm forgetting someone from the South. No, Tampa Bay will probably win the South, and then Atlanta will be the second. Yeah. I don't think Arizona's making the playoffs. So I think, I got it right. Cool. Next, Pittsburgh and New England. This will be a tough one. I think Pittsburgh's due for a bounce back against New England's defense. This is going to be a defensive battle, but overall, I think Pittsburgh's defense is better. The pass game for Pittsburgh is going to be tough against Christian Gonzalez. So I think they're going to lean more on the run. And then New England, they got Drake May, he's decent. TreVeyon Henderson still is going to be okay, but overall I think the O-line is going to be what you're going to want to watch against TJ Watt. I think Pittsburgh's got this one. Green Bay, Cleveland. Not much to think about here. Green Bay's going to win this one. This will be another kind of bloodbath game. Hopefully, Cleveland gets beat pretty badly. Next, New York Jets and Tampa Bay. This is another one where I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I don't think there's much to be done there. New York doesn't really have the momentum anymore, so I don't see them getting it back, especially against a team as good as Tampa Bay. Next, Denver and the Chargers. This is going to be an interesting one. I think the Chargers can win, but I'm going to go Denver here, actually. I think Denver's defense is going to be what the Chargers' offense needs to run into, because the Chargers have faced 2 defenses, or one that's good but didn't perform well, and then one that's just not great. So I think they're now facing a top 5 defense in the league. Their offense is going to get a little bit more stifled. And I think Denver can pull one out of the bag here. Next, New Orleans, Seattle. Another one that you don't have to think too hard about. Seattle's going to win this one. I don't think New Orleans is going to get blown out. I think they will keep it close because they've kept it close against the 49ers at least. The Cardinals are 2-0 because they faced the Saints week 1. So the Saints have faced 3 NFC West teams in the first 3 weeks. Crazy. Either way, they're going to lose to their third of those 3 in Seattle. Next, Dallas, Chicago. This is an interesting one. I think momentum is going to swing Dallas's way, and they're going to win it here. Chicago, just after a blowout like that, you can't really recover too easily. But Dallas is going to win that one. Next, Arizona, San Francisco. This is an interesting one. I'm going to go San Francisco, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona pulls off the upset here. I think San Francisco is one of my lower down teams. I think as it currently stands, I don't even know if they are going to make the playoffs. I can't wait for the first San Francisco-Seattle game, because that's going to be a big teller of who is going to get that spot. I think whoever wins that game or whoever wins that kind of series has a good chance of making the playoffs for sure. Next, Kansas City, New York. Kansas City should win. They should be able to beat the Giants. If they're not, we got major concerns here. But, I think Kansas City's got this one. Their offense is going to hopefully do better. The only concern I really have is the O-line holding up against the pass rush. The Giants have one of the worst run defenses in the league, so hopefully Pacheco can get going. I our pass game will be good as long as we have Mahomes, so it'll be good. And defense will continue to step up as long as McDuffie can cover Malik Neighbors pretty well, and then we can hopefully get pressure against the Giants O-line, which I don't think is great. KC should win this game. And finally, Detroit and Baltimore. This is the game of the week for sure, other than maybe the Rams and Eagles. As for who's going to win, I think I'm still going to go Baltimore here. It'll be a tough one. It'll be a close one. But I think the defense of Detroit is more prone to being exploited by Baltimore's offense than the Baltimore's defense is to be exploited by the Detroit offense. It'll be a good game. I think it'll be a high-scoring, one-score game, but I got Baltimore winning. So, that was it for this part of Beyond the Stats. I hope you've enjoyed. Sorry it's so late. Sorry I keep posting these videos like a day before the season, like the predictions and everything, but Tuesday, we're doing power rankings, we're doing game rankings, and then, Saturday predictions as usual. So these won't be as late, continuing on. And I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Beyond the Stats.